Hi everybody, welcome to this new episode of the GenAI Nerd channel. And in this video I want to focus on a specific tool in ChatGPT called the ChatGPT Agent. This is one of these tools that you have if you have a Plus account, and it's already out for a while, but I did not really experiment a lot with it. But this weekend I took time to really experiment, and actually I'm quite amazed what you can do with it, especially for instance for research activities. So what I will do in this video is to briefly explain how you can access this specific tool, and then I will give two specific use cases. So I will illustrate how you can use it to do deep competitor research for a startup, and how you can use it to also do deep market research for a startup. And at the end of the video, I will kind of share my core learnings of how you can optimize using this tool. So let's get started. Yes, so let me show you how you can use this agent tool. So to enable the tool, you need to go to your Plus here, and then here is Agent Mode. And in a Plus account, you can run like 40 agent requests per month. So there is a kind of limitation, but 40 is already quite a lot. You will see here that you can also add external resources to the agent. So at the moment, for instance, I have linked my calendar here just to experiment. You can also link it, for instance, to your inbox, whatever you want. That I did not yet do. And actually for the examples that I will show, we don't need these external sources, but if you want, you can do that. So then actually the agent will be able to kind of pull sources from the connections that you have made. But so let me show you simply two examples that I have done using the ChatGPT 5 agent mode. Yes, so the first use case I have here is that I wanted to do deep competitor analysis for my startup TrideSpark. I'm building a startup for another YouTube channel. And so what I want to do here is really find out which competitors are kind of competing with me. And I also wanted to kind of get a feeling about how are customers reacting to what these customers have. Yeah, so I want to have a list of the competitors, and then even for every competitor, a kind of overview what the customers like and dislike about the competing project. So what I'm developing is a kind of conference platform. Now I want to focus on kind of networking before the conference, whereas others are mainly focusing on networking during the conference, but still I want to understand the competitors. So let me show you a bit the prompt that I've written. Yeah, so I start by just briefly saying that I'm a startup founder, and here I give my instructions for the agent. Yeah, so I'm saying, look, based on the description of my startup, engage in a deep competitor analysis to identify companies with a similar value proposition, create an Excel sheet that provides names of the competitor, web page, location, description of the offering, and essential core differences between my value proposition and the value proposition of the competitor. And then I'm saying, as a second part, for the identified competitors, search for customer reviews on different platforms to better understand what customers like about the existing offerings and what customers do not like about the existing customers. Yeah? And then I even give some more specifications here. So that's the prompt that I've given. And of course, I have also given here a description of my startup. And then based on that, the agent started working, and it collected information for like 10-15 minutes. And in the end, it created, as requested for me, a spreadsheet. So let us now take a close look at the spreadsheet that it generated for me. Yeah, so this is the spreadsheet generated by the agent, and this is just what it produced. And actually it identified 5 competitors, and actually I know quite well now competitors for my networking platform, and these are exactly the competitors that I have identified before. And actually it perfectly created the columns that I wanted it to create. Yeah? So here actually we have a kind of perfect competitor overview, and it created an additional sheet as requested, where actually for every competitor it identified strengths and weaknesses, and it provided quotes that it found on the internet from customers about these particular companies. So in this way, it was actually perfectly able to execute what I wanted, and I was really surprised that it was so good in perfectly executing what I wanted here. So I think this is already a great example where you can use the agent mode for quite in-depth competitor analysis. So let me show you one more use case for which I have used it. Yes, so the second use case was that I wanted to do it for me a market opportunity analysis for the same startup. And again, I gave it some context, saying that I'm a startup that wants to do a thumb, sum, and sum analysis. That's what we always do to analyze market opportunities. And then again, I have clearly explained the steps that it needs to execute to do so. Yeah. So I asked it to kind of give me an estimation of how many conferences would be relevant. Based on that, it should calculate for me a thumb, sum, sum, and it should create for me a spreadsheet that shows the calculations, but also gives me the opportunity to play with the numbers generated by the Excel. So let me show you again the Excel that was generated. Yeah, so here you can already see that it really executed all the steps that I wanted. And again, as requested, it created an Excel for me. So let me briefly show you the Excel now. Yes, so here is the Excel that it generated, and you can see it has now created, based on web research, quite some numbers that are relevant to calculate thumb, sum, and sum. And here then the actual calculation takes place. And the nice thing is that indeed, as I requested, here I have actually formulas so that when I want to make changes now in the kind of assumptions regarding certain values here, I can simply make changes. And let's now say that we do 10% instead of 5%. I can make a change and immediately my Excel will be adjusted. And so in that way, you see that you can even create kind of flexible Excel templates based on the agent, which I think is really helpful. Yes, so these were the two use cases that I wanted to show. Let me briefly maybe summarize my core learnings by experimenting with this agent mode. I think the first learning is that you really have to give good instructions. Yeah, that means you have to clearly explain step by step what you expect the agent to do and what kind of output you want. Because initially the first attempts that I didn't give good instructions, and then you see that it went into a wrong direction. But the moment you start giving really good instructions, it actually can perfectly execute what you want. The second thing is, I think this is really powerful if in the end you want to create something like an Excel sheet. Otherwise, I think you can also do most of these things with deep research. But if you actually want to get a kind of output like an Excel sheet, then I think this agent mode is something really powerful, which I think the other tools in ChatGPT cannot do. So these were kind of the most important learnings for me. Give clear instructions and leverage it when you really want to get an output like an Excel sheet. I think for these use cases, this particular tool is really helpful. So I hope this is helpful for you, that you can also try to experiment with this ChatGPT agent. So thanks for your attention, and hopefully you watch again for the next video. Thank you. Bye.